Bailey. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship today. I congratulate the Honourable Member for Shipley for securing this debate. I do, however, think he's done a bit of a disservice to the debate and the theme of the debate, and I think the Honourable Member for Edinburgh North and Leith and the Honourable Member for North Ayrshire kind of hit the nail on the head when they talked about maybe a fear of male privilege being taken away, and there shouldn't be a debate where you're pitching one gender against another, because equality is equality, and that's what we strive for. I am pleased that this debate is in its 4th year of running, and I'm pleased that I've been able to take part in it again and speak on behalf of Her Majesty's opposition. As we have heard, over 70 countries around the world celebrated International Men's Day this year, and I'm always happy to appreciate and talk about the positive contributions that men make in society, and I think today plays a pivotal role in raising awareness of some of the issues affecting men in the UK, and some of them we've heard about today. And when we talk about men, you know, we mean all men, the intersectionality of men, Mr. Bailey, that includes trans men, disabled men, black men, poor men, and young men. And they all suffer from everything, as we've heard, from domestic abuse to rape to bullying to forced marriage, just to name but a few. Nobody's yet mentioned today about the rate of rough sleepers. In 2016 to 2017, 86% of rough sleepers were male, which is a shocking statistic, and one which we must ask ourselves, what can we do as society to stop that from escalating and to tackle the issue that is before us? One of the major issues also largely affecting men that's mentioned quite a number of times, and from the Honourable Member for Motherwell and Wishaw and my Honourable friend from Coventry North East, is about, sadly, suicide. 4,382 men in 2017 tragically took their own lives. That's an average of 12 per day. As I say, in society, we must look at what drives men to take their own lives and what we can do as a society, what we can do in this place to reduce this high rate. And mental health plays a huge role, but also poverty and men not feeling adequate, and the role that social media plays. And also, we've heard honourable members talk about health and cancer, and men have a high rate, obviously, of prostate cancer. And it's also a fact that men remain 3 times more likely to take their own lives than women. And I, again, say that is a case where we should look at, focus, and see as society what we can do to stop that happening. Mental health issues plays a huge role in suicide. It plays a huge role to homelessness. And this also disproportionately affects men, and I think the Honourable Member from Shipley touched on this, that it affects men from diverse communities. And according to Lambeth Collective's Black Health and Wellbeing Commission, black men are 17 times more likely to be diagnosed with serious mental health issues. Now, there are other issues pertaining to that around institutional racism when mental health is diagnosed and the over-medication of black men, but it doesn't negate the fact that a high proportion of black men do suffer from mental health issues. And again, we must look at ourselves as a society and say, what can we do as a society, as a collective in this place to maybe stop this from happening? And what I should also say is that when we talk about black men, you think mental health issues, having to always justify against the racial stereotyping of black men plays a fundamental role in the mental health of black men. In 2013, the Gay Men's Health Survey found that 3% of gay men and 5% of bisexual men attempted suicide that year, compared to just 0.4% of heterosexual men. Again, we need to understand these issues and understand the role that we play in terms of our language and our attitude in society, and the role that we play in allowing people to feel comfortable in their own skin. Time and time again, we hear the Prime Minister say that we will give mental health parity with physical health, but it seems to be just all talk and no action, and the money isn't put into mental health. And it's so disappointing that mental health funding has been cut, and the number of mental health nurses has fallen by at least 6,600. How are we going to give parity to mental health if we cut mental health nurses? We need mental health nurses in schools, in hospitals, in everywhere where we are going to encourage men and young boys to talk about their issues. Every member of this House must speak up and hold the Prime Minister account. We must insist that mental health is prioritised and improve mental health services to everyone, young, old, male, female, intersex, non-binary. We must just improve mental health services. And in doing so, we will prevent more people from taking their own lives. And one of the campaigns I supported this year, Mr. Bailey, was the campaign for Albert Trott to be recognised with a blue plaque. Albert Trott was a talented cricketer who played for Middlesex, Australia and England. He lived in Brent, my constituency, between 1897 and 1911. Albert Trott was famous for being the only man ever to hit a ball over the Lord's Pavilion. But sadly, after his retirement, that is a great feat. And sadly, after his retirement, he suffered from depression and mental illness. And aged just 41, in July 1914, he took his own life. Some of us have alleged that he may not have been recognised for his accomplishment because of the stigma surrounding suicide and mental health. But I'm clear that Albert Trott should be celebrated, he should be recognised, there should be a blue plaque in his name, and maybe even there should be a mention of mental health in order to raise awareness of mental health. Especially in professional sports, because currently there are no footballers in the Premier League, for example, who have publicly come out as gay. And this is a sad situation. Just imagine all the anxiety and the turmoil of footballers who are in fact gay. And I'm pleased that this House, most of us in this House, has agreed to make homophobic chanting at football matches a criminal offence. And I hope we will vote to make this law when it comes after second reading in January 2019. We must do more so that people are free to be their true, authentic selves at work, home, and in the street. And I just want to mention a few names of people who have been at the forefront and using their notoriety. People like Reggie Yates, who has done some amazing work in mental health and what prison does to the mind. I was so impressed speaking to him and hearing him speak. I think we need to do more. He will encourage black men to come out and speak. He works with #GramFam and Calm, campaign against living miserably, which helps young men in regards to mental health. I can mention loads more, like Stormzy, Zayn Malik, and I want to mention Gareth Thomas, who came out after retiring and who's recently suffered a homophobic attack and has been brave enough to speak about it. And I'm grateful for all of them to sharing their stories. And inspirational stories like this just reminds us that we need to talk about men and we need to celebrate good men. And I know that time is short, Mr. Bailey, so I want to conclude that there's no shame in being caring, and we've heard about how we want to encourage men to talk and share their feelings. And I also want to end on this for the member for Shipley. He asked me about the standard of women and MPs, and I want him to listen really carefully. I look forward to the day when there are more rubbish women in this House. And I look forward to the day when there are as many rubbish female MPs as there are rubbish male MPs, because only then will I know that we've reached true equality. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.